Okay, so first we are going to be making the inside of a car. So we're going to do a back seat and two front seats and a wheel. To do that, first I'm going to start with a primitive. So I'm going to click on this box. Of course, it doesn't show up until I drag my mouse over the work plane and click. Once I do that, I'm going to transform my box by clicking on these corners to stretch it however long I want it and flatten it down. So I might start by making mine a little bit larger so it's easier to work with. And then I'll just shrink the whole thing down. So once I have my bench, the bottom of the seat for my back seat, I'm going to click on it and change the radius. As I do this, you can see the edges get a little bit rounded. I'm going to go all the way just so you can see, but I want my seat to be just slightly round. Just like that. Now the back of my seat needs a backrest so people can relax. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to go to the top left and duplicate. Just like before, the shape doesn't appear on its own. You have to click on it and drag it. I'm going to leave mine where it is, and I'm just going to use the rotate tool to get it to 90. So it is a 90-degree from the bottom to the back. So it's a perfect corner. So again, click on that rotate until I get to 90. So my back seat is kind of a little bit low. So I'm going to bring it up in space just by clicking on this triangle that turns red whenever I hover over it and just lift up. Again, remember to change your perspective or your view by this top left cube, move it around that way. I'm going to move this backrest. Oh, I didn't mean to make it larger. Go back, so I'm going to hit undo. When I do that, I'm going to move it back into space just by clicking on it and pulling it back. We can double check it, what it looks like from all different angles, but this looks pretty good to me. So this is going to be our back seat. Since I already have one seat, I'm actually just going to duplicate the whole thing and create my next two seats. To duplicate more than one shape, you're just going to click and drag and lift up, and you can see that the whole shape is selected, both of them together. So now I could move this shape as it's connected, I could transform this shape as it's connected, and I can duplicate those connected shapes. I've duplicated it, and I'm just going to pull this forward. So this would be really good for like a bus, something like that. But since I want to make a car, I'm going to make this one smaller, almost like two smaller front seats. So I'm going to try and line them up as best I can on the grid to keep it straight. And again, I want another seat right here. So I'm just going to select both of them by dragging my mouse and hit duplicate. Remove that over here and try and line it up. Looks pretty good. Okay, so now I have the three seats in my car or the two seats in the bench. If you want, you can change the color of all of them just by dragging and changing the colors that way. And I'm going to move them up because if they were riding like this, my seats would be straight up on the road as I'm driving. So I'm just going to select them all and lift up. So we have room for our wheels whenever we add those. The last thing I'm going to add to my interior is a wheel. You could add more. You could add a center console, you could add a stick, you could add a trunk, you could go into as much detail as you like, but I'm going to keep it pretty simple today. I'm going to click on the torus primitive shape and put this right in front of the seat that I want to be the driver's seat. Go to the other side and have it be like you're in Europe. And I'm going to lift that straight up in space by clicking on this triangle and dragging up. And then I'm going to rotate it by just clicking on those. Okay, so I'm going to move it over just a little bit. It's always good to remember to look at it from different angles to double check, make sure stuff's exactly where you want it. But this looks pretty good for me for the inside of a car.